Official sponsor of the 1996 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you. Mobil Motor Oil. At Mobil, we've been changing oil for over 125 years. And Goodyear, #1 in tires.
Well, nothing's changed here at Nazareth. The order remains the same. Next Saturday at 2:30 Eastern, 3 Pacific on ABC Sports, we'll head south to Houston as Payne Stewart prepares to defend his title at the Shell Houston Open. And on ABC's Wide World of Sports, it's the first jewel in this year's Visa Triple Crown Challenge. Live from Churchill Downs, the 122nd running of the Kentucky Derby. Coverage begins Friday on Good Morning America, right here on ABC. Well, as we watch Greg Moore closing down on Al Unser Jr. in a developing battle for third place, we can check up on some of the things that we mentioned at the top of the show as to what our concerns might be and what the stories might be in the day. Well, I think very definitely we're looking at some of the engine parity that we thought might occur here, because we're looking at a Ford in front and a Mercedes, and you've got to go down in the order to 6th place to find the first Honda that has been so powerful. Michael's probation, well, he's got a problem. He's in the lead, but he's got to think about it just a little bit. He's got to be very careful, so maybe he can't run with all of the courage that he wants to out in front. And Penske's team, well, it's looking like it's back in the action at least. Jack?
Well, let's update you as well on Jimmy Vasser. Vasser has been chasing a push condition all day. They thought they changed the wing in the front. They thought they'd solved the problem. Then they thought maybe they had a header going bad on them, maybe cracked or something. He's just not having a good day at all. And right now, they're just out there trying to get some points-paying positions.
You're out on board with Jimmy Vasser.
Also a little mention on Emerson Fittipaldi, who's in 2nd place in one of the Penske cars. We haven't mentioned him on the fuel, but he's going to make it, in my calculations, if they're right, he's going to make it to the end, Paul, but he's going to be kind of close.
You know, I can't get over Greg Moore, this great young rookie. I mean, we expected a lot out of him, but he's paid off. Look at him as he sits right behind Al Unser Jr. as we take a look down from the Honda Helicam. Now, when we started this segment after yellow, little Al was up at the front of the pack. Moore was all the way at the back of the pack and is closed up and is sitting on his back end now.
You know, people look at Greg Moore. He looks like he's about 16 years old. And again, like I said earlier, nobody thought he was going to be this good. He's going to become, and my prediction is right, a real great race driver, somewhat like we had Villeneuve last year.
I mean, he could even be a Bobby Unser.
Did you see Tracy way out of the groove there, almost hit the wall. He was uncontrolled drift there for a while. I thought he was going to get it.
There we say it. Michael, Emerson, Al Unser Jr., and the battle with Greg Moore. Gary Gerald?
Checking in with Tony Brunetti, who is in radio contact with Greg Moore. They're delighted with the way the car is handled all afternoon. The first time we checked earlier, they said it was absolutely perfect. Just got another thumbs up. They're good on fuel. They want to get to the podium.
Did you see the pass that Greg Moore just did on Vasser? There's Vasser right there. Greg just passed him. Just did it so nice and so smooth. He looked like he was a 10-year experienced driver.
2nd place is Emerson Fittipaldi. Remember, that's where he was going to the closing laps last year and ended up the winner, Jackaroo.
And Rick Reineman watched that last year when he worked for Team Penske, now with Hogan Penske. Big question, Rick, can you go the distance?
Yes, we're looking good on fuel. We just need to get through the traffic that is between Mike and us, and we'll be all right.
What about handling with the car? I know you were chasing I think it was a loose condition early.
The only thing he's asking now is how many laps to go, so he knows where he needs to be when we get down to, 10 laps to go.
And Paul, I'll tell you, if you watched Emerson Fittipaldi all weekend, he is really fired up.
Now, Rick Reineman, he's been the chief for Emerson for some time. They've got some victories under their belt. 124th lap was when Emerson stopped.
He's going to make it, Paul. This is Emo's track. He loves this track. I think out of all the tracks on the circuit, this has to be Emo's #1.
Continuing to watch Greg Moore as he comes up behind 8th place Scott Pruitt. Moore, remember, sits in 4th, Gary.
And a further update on Michael Andretti. Remember, he pitted last on lap 117, would have to go 83 to make it to the checkers. There was a little concern earlier. Now they're telling us nothing but optimism. They think they don't have to worry about a possible splash and go, that he too can go to the 200th mile with no problem.
Another thing we want to, boy, look at that Greg Moore going. Another thing we want to keep in mind that they have computers and they have telemetry. What that means is the cars are talking to the pits, telling them what the fuel conditions are. The driver's not doing this thinking.
Yellow flag has come out at the starter stand. Robbie Gordon brushed the wall. Now look at the right side of the car. So Robbie brushes the wall, brings the yellow out. This is what Michael Andretti wants. What he needs.
This is what he needed for certain sure. It makes them very happy right now.
But let's think about it. What if
there's Robbie coming out? Boom! He hit it pretty hard. Now, if he doesn't come in and get it checked, he'd be very foolish. But I think Cart would probably make him if he didn't. You know, no driver wants to come in right now. Especially Robbie. He's about one of the bravest ones that I know.
Is Robbie the only one that got up there close to the wall, too? We'll keep a track of that one for you. Michael Andretti is going to stay out. So they believe in what they said. Of course, the yellow's going to help him a little, Jackaroot.
Well, here's what Robbie Gordon's going to have to do. He did hit the wall. He brushed it and bent the wishbone. So they're going to come in, and Derek Walker and the Valvoline team are going to check things over. You know, it's going to take a little while. They have to change that wishbone. It's on the right side. They're going to check it over. Let's go back up to you.
Now, the report is Robbie was all by himself up there. Other cars moved around to try to get away from it, but nobody else brushing the wall. Robbie did it all by himself. We're under yellow again. We'll be back.
This Ford Fact is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealers. Have you driven a Ford lately? The new rules package for 1996 in IndyCar racing primarily focuses on safety. Now, one of the great examples of that is the increased chassis strength to protect the driver. As a driver, one of the scariest types of accidents to have would be a near head-on collision where this front tire would impact the wall and then make its way towards the driver's compartment. The first place it would contact would be here at the side pod, which now they're required to be of honeycomb material and 3/8 of an inch thick. If the wheel was to make its way all the way to the cockpit, many chassis manufacturers between the instrument panel and the back of the seat have put a new piece of material in here made of Kevlar, the same material that's used in a bulletproof vest, meaning that it protects the driver from anything puncturing the chassis and injuring him. Now, you can also see visually that behind me, the cockpit side is higher than it was last year, where it came across at about this level. This higher cockpit side protects the driver from any sort of shrapnel that might hit his helmet. Now, so far, in 1996, we've had a couple of big crashes in IndyCar racing, and these new safety rules seem to have worked wonderfully.
The new 4.6-liter V8 Mustang GT and the new limited edition 305 horsepower V8 Mustang Cobra.
Hello.
Not since Mr. Ed has a horse spoken so clearly.
Whoa, Wilbur.
For cars that can benefit from higher octane, Texaco Clean System 3 Power Plus and Power Premium were formulated to clean your engine's intake valves, fuel injectors, and combustion chambers while you're driving, to give you smooth starts and sure acceleration. Just give us 5 tanks, and we think Power Plus and Power Premium will make quite an impression on you.
Add more life to your car. Take it to the star.
Target teammates, Alex Zanardi and Jimmy Vasser.
Alex? Hey, there's nobody better. I mean, he was born to drive. I'm new to the Target team, but Jimmy has made me feel right at home. Alex is the fastest thing on 4 wheels. Really.
Words cannot describe how I feel about Jimmy.
The new Kawasaki Vulcan 1500 Classic. With the biggest V-twin ever to hit the asphalt, you've never felt anything like it.
It was a routine visit.
This kind of thing can really hurt.
We use an anesthesia that eliminates all feeling during the operation.
What happened next was unthinkable.
I believe I was raped under anesthesia.
The most provocative movie of the year. She woke up pregnant. ABC Tonight.
Back at Nazareth, the Bosch Spark Plug Grand Prix. We tried to go green, but Raul Boisel had a problem, and here's exactly what it was. They were coming for the green flag, and you can see his engine starting to let go there. But good move by the starter, Jim Swimtel. He went green flag. Now, you can see Boisel in trouble there. He could have gone yellow at that point, but wisely he kept the green out until the field had made its way through, because they're already rolling. You don't want to stack them up at that moment. And as soon as everybody cleared, he went back yellow. So there's a fast-thinking official. Did a nice job there. Probably saved somebody some trouble.
Very good job. Very good thinking on the starter's part on that one, Paul.
So we are under yellow once again. Robbie Gordon is the cause originally for this yellow, Jack.
And he's out of the car. They couldn't repair the rear of the car. Robbie, it looked as if we rode on board with you on one of the replays. It looked like the car just literally got away from you there for a second.
Yeah, you know, we were fighting a power oversteer problem, and I was trying to roll back on the power. The car stepped out. I moved over. I was already on the outside line. That put me in the marbles when I corrected. And I just tried to keep it off the wall the best I could.
We've talked about the marbles before, the rubber that comes off the tires under race conditions and finds its way to the outside groove. What does it feel like for a driver when you get up in the marbles like that?
It feels like you're on sand on top of the asphalt. You know, with the tires getting softer and softer like we're doing with the tire war, you know, once I got in that outside groove, it was just trying to keep it off the wall.
Well, tough to see. Let's check in with Gary Gerald. Gary?
Well, Jack, we're checking in down here in the Michael Andretti pit, and the concerns, of course, about any fuel considerations, having stopped last at lap 117, long evaporated, because with the yellow now, you can conserve all of that. So a lot of smiles down there. They're nervous. Michael's last victory on the streets of Toronto last season, like nothing better to be able to climb to the top of the podium today here in his hometown. Jack?
Gary, we've been monitoring the radio conversations between Hogan and Penske and their driver, Emerson Fittipaldi. And listen to what they just told him. They said, Emo, you are faster than Michael Andretti. Go after him. You can win this thing.
So it's back to green flag racing, and it looks like it's going to be a sprint to the finish now. 200 laps of scheduled distance. They're on the 177th lap. And look at the whirlwind head around.
Watch the people when they see the camera go by, like when they see close-up shots, look to the outside of the groove, and you can see all these marbles, little balls of rubber. And this is what happens to Robbie Gordon, some of the guys that get out there a little too far. They get on that, it's like on ball bearings.
Paul Tracy there already picks off Jimmy Vasser for 6th place and tries to move up through the rest of the field and catch the leaders. Front 5, Michael, Emerson, Al Unser Jr., Greg Moore, and Bobby Rahal. Tracy's got Pruitt just ahead of him, but Pruitt is off the pace and not a factor here. The front of the field, Michael has a 5-second cushion over 2nd place Emerson Fittipaldi because of the way they came back to the green flag with slower cars separating them.
Tracy's handling very good and going very fast. The problem is he's still down a lap. Although he was down 2 laps a whole lot earlier, he's probably been the fastest car in the race. Unfortunately, that bad pit stop has really cost him dearly. Information there on the bottom of the screen. The help of EBS, the official scoring of IndyCar. By the way, they're working on a worldwide web page that will have scoring in real time. They're not there on that one yet, but boy, that's the plan. Will that be cool? Put your computer over alongside your television set. Look at the bottom of the screen, but they got a lot of other information available too. Traffic is still such a problem. Just watch how hard it is. Now remember, the marbles on the outside. The fast cars have to pass the slow cars on the outside. They've really got to thread those cars just right on the track.